Hello, my YouTube family. Welcome back to another video. I just want to reach out and say thank you so much for all of you who have recently been subscribing. It really means a lot to me that you are supporting my channel, and I really hope you find this channel informative and it helps you along your journey in some way. So thank you so much for supporting me and showing up. With that said, I do want to talk about the results of the cut that I went through. So I actually finished my cut about a month ago and then I went on vacation. So this video is over a month due. But here we are and let's go ahead and get into it. Just a note, I have my whole notes on my screen behind me. So if you kind of see me wandering off to the side, it's just because I had to write everything down so that I don't go off track too much, because I do notice that my videos can be a little bit long because I get a little bit sidetracked. So I'm gonna do my best to just kind of go boom, boom, bada bing, bada boom. I do have a body check at the end, so I want to discuss some things before we get there. So please watch this whole video. It might really help you along your journey. And yeah, so let's get into it. Okay, so I started my cut on May 4th of this past year, and I wanted my cut to just be 8 weeks long, which isn't that long of a time for a cut, but I didn't want to draw it out too long because it was going to be my first cut. And I just wasn't sure how I was going to be able to adhere to the protocol, especially because it's summertime. I don't want to restrict myself all summer long, so that's why I decided to do 8 weeks. My starting weight was 136 pounds, and my daily calories that I was intaking was 2,000 calories. So specifically for this cut, I was keeping track of my calories and my macros, and I gave myself a calorie deficit. And I was tracking my macros for the majority of the 8 weeks. I gave myself a little bit of breaks here and there, which I'll go into a little bit further, but I was tracking through a fitness app, and I was tracking my macros to help me along this journey. So I was doing that, and I feel like that made a huge difference for me. So what I ended up giving myself as a deficit was incredibly modest. I started at 130 calorie deficit, and then I just pushed it up to 150 calorie deficit. And shortly after I started that calorie deficit per day, I also increased my activity levels a little bit. I did not increase my steppage count throughout the week. I kept my steps about the same because I'm really active, and to get more steps, I just felt like I didn't really need to get more steps. I did increase my cardio by taking my bike to work and commuting on my bike 3 to 4 times a week. There were 2 weekends specifically out of the 8 weeks where I wasn't tracking my food. I had a wedding on one of those weekends where I was just enjoying everything about that weekend, enjoying all the food that there was to have, desserts, whatever, you name it, drinks, alcohol, whatever. And then there was another weekend where we had some friends visit, and it was very similar. Like, I was still having a couple drinks here and there and not paying as much attention to the food that I was eating and not tracking what I was eating. So there were 2 weekends out of those 8 weeks where I was not tracking, and I was a little bit more lax with myself to have a little bit of a mental break during those 8 weeks. Okay, so the goals for my cut are as follows. I definitely wanted to lean out a little bit, but I am not prepping for any sort of competition. I'm not ready to get that lean. And I didn't have a specific weight loss goal. I didn't have a number in my mind that I really wanted to hit. So I didn't really care how much weight I dropped. I just wanted to see a little bit of fat loss happening. Let's talk a little bit more about my deficit itself. So total from the beginning to the end, I lost about 3 pounds in 8 weeks. I do not know what portion of this is fat loss specifically and what portion is muscle loss. I will say that I did lose a little bit of muscle, which is very natural whenever you're going in a cut. You can't really avoid losing some muscle. The point is to help minimize the muscle that you're losing. That muscle is going to help keep shape, but keeping as much muscle mass on your body also still helps improve your metabolism a little bit. That's about 1.4 kilograms that I lost. So that's just under a rate of 3% weight loss, which is a little bit too low, to be honest. If you are going on the conservative end, you should aim for a weight loss rate of about 4 to 5% of your body weight. So mine was even more conservative than 4%. Mine was at like 0.28% of a rate, which was very little. However, I really did that on purpose because I wanted to make sure that I could adhere to the 8 weeks and finish off the 8 weeks with some consistency, as opposed to jumping in too soon, making a deficit that was too hard, and only being able to adhere to that for 1 or 2 weeks before giving up. I feel like whenever you go that route, that really puts you in a negative cycle. It puts you on the mindset that you have failed, that you can't complete something, that something is super difficult, it's not even worth doing, that maybe you yourself are unworthy. All of these negative thoughts about yourself and your performance really come from not you, they come from a goal that is way too strict and too hard. So I didn't want to end up in that negative loop. I really wanted to make sure that I completed this to give myself kind of that reinforcement that you can do something, and that next time I know how to adjust, and next time I know that I can handle making my deficit a little bit greater. I've already done the process one time. I know even better now what I need to implement next time I do a cut. I'm not saying that weight loss is easy and fat loss is easy. It's not. It's summertime. I want to go out. My friends want to go have drinks. I want to go and have some dinner dates with my partner, etc., etc. So I don't want to be so restrictive in my total daily calories that I wouldn't be able to do any of those things. So that's another reason that I really wanted to make the cut conservative, is I still wanted some freedom to go out once in a while, not go out every night. And I kind of limited this on purpose of maybe one night a week of like a date night, or one night a week of having a drink or two with my friends. Being able to track and have a structure to follow made the process a little bit more direct for me. And you get a sense of feedback whenever you're monitoring what you are doing. So what I mean by that, I was specifically counting my macros to help me follow my deficit, and that constant feedback, that constant being able to see that I was hitting that day in and day out, is already a positive feedback loop, right? You are understanding that you are getting towards your goal. The goal is concrete, right? And you know that day if you hit it or not hit it. And I don't mean you have to hit it like to the T, but hit it regardless nonetheless. So having kind of that direct feedback, I knew that I was on the progress to seeing the results that I was striving for and working really hard for. Constant day in and day out, I was able to get that feedback. And also with some progress photos and weighing myself once or twice every week to give myself another way to monitor what I was doing and to adjust what I was doing if I needed to. I'm not saying that you have to do that. I feel like a lot of people, that can be very problematic for people. Some people's schedules and family lifestyles really don't allow them to track consistently and easily, but it doesn't mean that you can't have feedback. So maybe instead of tracking, you keep a food diary and you keep some sort of food log where you just write down your meals and everything that you ate that day, and you still look at the portions of the food that you're eating. Still are monitoring your food intake to a degree. You don't necessarily have to count calories. You are just paying attention to what you're eating. Okay. So what else did being in a calorie deficit, how else did it affect me? It definitely affected my sleep, my hunger, and my training. So even though my deficit was modest, it still took its toll a little bit. So I noticed that my performance was starting to go down after a couple of weeks, and I was just starting to feel really tired. I wasn't recovering quite as well. I wasn't feeling like I was just hitting my workouts with the same like intensity, right? So I did adjust my training while I was going through my deficit, and I've reduced some of the volume that I had been working at previously, just to kind of compensate for that while going through the deficit process. I definitely felt tired sometimes and beat up. Sometimes I really wasn't sleeping well. I was taking a lot more naps. So that's something that you really want to think about whenever you are maybe doing a weight loss phase and being at a deficit. It is going to affect things like sleep, hunger cues, stress, etc., etc. So you really have to find ways to try to mitigate that. Or some people, maybe you're just not quite at the right stage for a true period of strict weight loss. There's no wrong time to start on your health journey and start doing things in your life that make you feel good, that make you feel healthier, that are on your way to reaching wellness goals. I'm talking about doing something that's as strict as counting macros and counting calories with a specific goal within a specific period of time. I'm gonna go through my measurements with you guys right now. So compared to beginning to end, I started at about 136 pounds, and whenever I finished, I was 133 pounds. So 3 pounds down. I'm not sure what ratio is muscle and what ratio is fat. I have no real accurate way of actually measuring that. All of my measurements did go down. So I was really trying to hold on to my glute mass as much as I could. So I was still focusing on a lot of glute exercises in my training program, just to be able to stimulate the muscle to hang on, please hang on to my butt. So I did lose muscle there, which is so normal whenever you're at a calorie deficit, and whenever you're going through a cut, you are going to lose some muscle mass. It's not like my glutes got bigger while going through a cut. That's not possible. You don't have any bricks to build a house. I can't big a house of a booty if I don't have any bricks. So if I'm not eating, if my body is actively in a cut, your body is taking away fuel sources within the body. So it's taking away fat as a fuel source, and it can indeed take away muscle to fuel itself. It doesn't want to be at a deficit. I'm still super happy. Like, again, these numbers aren't big. You guys can see that for yourselves, that it's not a big change. So a major reason that I wanted to make this video for you guys is I just wanted to provide kind of an accurate representation of going through a fat loss change or changing your physique. And of course, your results are gonna be based off of how much excess weight you have on your body, your training, the genetics, fat distribution, how long is your cut, how intense was your cut. Of course, all of those things are really gonna affect what someone looks like at the end of their cut. And again, this was a very, very modest deficit, and I'm not lean enough to enter any competitions. I wasn't trying to get model lean. That wasn't my goal. My goal was just to lose a little bit of fat and feel really good about myself. You'll be able to see that there's not a drastic difference in my appearance, but there is some difference. So of course, I'm not ready to be on the picture of Swimsuit Illustrated, but I feel so good in my day-to-day life and how I feel in my clothes. Yeah, so I'm happy with that. There are so many fitfluencers who are saying things like, I'm gonna gain 10 pounds of muscle in 12 weeks. And that's just not accurate, you guys. Or I'm gonna get shredded and get abs in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. It's just not possible for most of us. Some of these people who are posting that, you have to take into account that a lot of their genetics are aiding them in what they're selling and what they're promoting. There are influencers who are already naturally quite lean and predisposed to having abs and having their abs pop. One of my very close friends is petite, super lean. She has definition in her abs. She does not work out at all. Some of those things are genetics, and it's just not accurate. Not everything that they're promising to you is accurate. So here I am. I really wanted you to see, after 8 weeks of following a protocol and adhering to that protocol, I lost 3 pounds. And that was not 3 pounds of pure fat loss. I just want to make that super clear for you guys. And again, there's a little bit of a difference in my body, but not a drastic difference, not a big difference. Again, I don't go from being one way to being like swimsuit edition, like super lean and super muscle. My muscles aren't popping. My muscles are hardly popping, right? But again, I'm still happy with my results and where I started to where I finished. That next time I can do something a little bit more drastic and probably achieve better results. All right, you guys, I've been talking a lot. Let's get into it. I'm so sad. I'm so sorry. I swore that I had a video of like my before in like my white underwear set, and only now whenever I'm like editing this video, I realize that I only did a video in my swimsuit. So it sucks just because the swimsuit is a different cut than my underwear. So I'm still gonna put the videos side by side. However, I do have photos in the exact same underwear set, and I will absolutely put those side by side. So I'm a little disappointed that you guys don't have an exact side by side with the videos. I'm really sorry about that, but you do have a direct side by side with the pictures. And these are my results. And yeah, I hope this video helps some of you. If you guys need assistance with your weight loss or your fat loss journey, I am currently taking on clients for that. So I'm going to put my website in the description box below and also my email. So if you need help on your own fat loss journey and you really want some guidance, you want someone to go through the process of fixing a calorie deficit and monitoring things with you and being able to teach you a little bit more about your food, what macros are, how to eat your macros and how to balance your plate, then I would love to hear from you and we can discuss a plan moving forward. All right, you guys, I hope you really enjoyed this video and it may help you on your fat loss journey or it may inspire you in any way. Thank you so much for watching and I'll catch you guys soon with another video.